Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I'm Kelly Stewart, at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Joined by the horseman himself, Marco in Vegas.
Some might say horse's ass after the Derby.
Yeah,
but
God. That was so close. So it was so close that I was like, this last 2 weeks, I'm like, God, can we just get to the Preakness? I was just so frustrated with that trip. I just felt like we were so close, yet so far away. It was just like one of those things, and then the controversy, throw that in, all that stuff aside. Last year, we did hit the Preakness. $302 was our total investment. Got back $11.59. I'm going to give you guys a promo code out here at the end. But Marco, I want to start with you. The horse that I thought was going to win the Derby, Improbable,
so did I.
Now is the favorite in the Preakness. Does he deserve to be the favorite after finishing fifth and then obviously fourth because of the disqualification in the Derby?
Well, he's the favorite by default because there's really no other clear-cut horse in here. And people are going to look at the race. I can't make an excuse for him for the Derby. You know, I always go back and look at the races and everything, and we were on him. He got a perfect trip. He got the trip that if you asked me to draw it up just the way I wanted it, that's the way he got it. And when it came time to push the go button in the stretch, he just didn't have that extra kick. Now, if you want to find a reason that maybe he didn't, we could say, well, maybe he didn't like the mud. But the problem is, the race before that, he raced at the Arkansas Derby and finished second to Omaha Beach in the mud.
Which is why I thought he would do well in the mud at the Derby.
The only thing that I can say different from the two races and the trips that he got, in the Arkansas Derby, he raced wide in that race. He was on the outside. He didn't have a bunch of horses kicking mud up into his face. In the Kentucky Derby, he had an inside trip, which was great to save ground, but he had a wall of horses in front of him the whole race. He had horses to the outside and to the inside. So that entire race, all he's got is the mud coming up in his face. So maybe he didn't like that. We're supposed to have a dry track on Saturday. We can forgive him, give him another shot. Am I going to make him my key horse? Probably not,
okay.
But I am not leaving him off.
You're not going to leave him out, okay.
Right, because he has the license to reverse form from that last race for sure. So definitely he's one of the horses to consider.
All right, so War of Will obviously was the horse like in the middle of all the lovely controversy during the Kentucky Derby. Kind of, what are your thoughts on him here, and how do you like his chances?
Well, I know the trainer didn't like getting the rail again, and I don't know why he's so upset about the rail. The rail's not the death sentence that it is in the Kentucky Derby.
Right, in the Preakness,
reasons.
because the horses are about half as many horses.
Yeah. There's, you don't have 20 horses, but the other thing, the Preakness, what's unusual about the Preakness is the starting gate is basically at the top of the stretch. So they have the whole stretch to run before they hit to that first turn. So he's got a straight line. He can get out there, get where he wants. And there is a ton of speed in this race that is going to be going to the lead. He can just settle where he wants. He got a good trip in the Derby. And when he was making his move, and that's when everything happened, he was trying to get out. And at the same time, when he was trying to push through, Maximum Security decided whatever to jump a puddle or whatever and veered to the outside. And then we had, looked like bumper cars there at the top of the stretch. He looked like a horse that was ready to finish maybe second at worst. I don't know if he would have got by Maximum Security, but he definitely looked like he was full of pace when he was trying to bust through there. So we don't know. We'll see when he comes back. History has said that the Preakness, the Kentucky Derby horses generally run well back into the Preakness. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk.
Is there reasoning behind that?
Yeah, and here's the difference this year. Because the Kentucky Derby horses that come back and run in a Preakness generally are the ones that finished 1, 2, 3 or whatever in the Derby.
Correct.
One of them's going for a Triple Crown, blah, 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 so you got the better horses. That is not the case this year, and that's why I think this makes this a wide open Preakness. You do not have the first place finisher. You don't have the second place finisher.
Which is crazy.
Don't have the third place finisher. They ended up, moving up all the horses. So you're getting the best horse was the fourth place horse, and then War of Will, who got knocked down.
Could have been, yeah.
Could have been. So that's going to make me look to some other horses in the race that I think have big shots.
Okay, so which horses are you looking at, and how do you see this race playing out?
Well, Improbable's going to be in good position. Mike Smith will have the horse where he needs him to be. War of Will be sitting in the second tier. The horses that I'm looking at, we're going to have a fast pace. There's a horse in this race, Warrior's Charge, and he's also stablemate of another horse, Owendale. Owendale's a horse that has a big shot in this race. He's coming in off of the Lexington Stakes. If you go back and watch that race and watch the move this horse made in the last turn, it is what I use a phrase, scary good. He went by the field of horses in that turn like they were standing still, and he was 3-4 wide in the turn, and so he's covering more ground. They're on the inside, and he's going by them like they're standing still, and he opened up in the stretch. I think he's going to run a big race. I also think Bourbon War. This is a horse that raced in the Florida Derby, just missed out on the Kentucky Derby. He didn't have enough points. He had to finish second or better in the Florida Derby. He finished fourth, and he missed getting in by a few points. We all know that the horses that came out of the Florida Derby, that was the race that we were all scoffing at because of the slow fractions.
Right.
Turns out to be the best prep race because Maximum Security actually won the Derby. Code of Honor got placed second in, so those two horses raced big. They came out of there, and the other horse that came out of that race, the Florida Derby, Bodie Express, raced well. He's the horse that whenever the chain reaction happened, he was the horse that was in between War of Will and Long Range Toddy. When they went like this, just totally pinched him off and ended any chance that he had. So because that race was such a big prep race, I like Bourbon War. He finished fourth in that race. He had to race wide. He raced from behind in slow fractions and still was making up ground. I think he's got a big chance on Saturday. So for the short synopsis, Improbable will be on the ticket, Owendale will be on the ticket, and Bourbon War will be on the ticket. Those will be my key horses up top, but then we got to put the other horses together, and of course that's what I'll be doing in my betting package.
All right, guys, get Marco's Preakness package with his betting sheet with how to bet the Preakness just as Marco's doing. You also get Marco's top sports play for Saturday, regular price $39, but right now with coupon code DQ10, it's just $29.